Have you ever wondered what it takes to do a full month of bookkeeping in QuickBooks Online? Well, if you have, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like today. So what I'm going to show you is what actions you need to take in QuickBooks Online to consider your books complete for the month, and what documents you're going to need to be able to finalize that, those things that are outside of the accounting system. And then I'm going to show you what the final looks like when you actually have reports that are done and show that your bookkeeping is complete. This video is going to be super helpful for people who are either DIYing your books, or if you are a bookkeeper that's just getting started out and you're not exactly sure like what exactly it means to finish the books for a client every single month. So hopefully this will be really helpful for you. I'm going to be using the new version of QuickBooks Online. This is the new user interface that has been made available in August of 2025. So hopefully this is going to be helpful for people who maybe have seen the old user interface and now we have a new user interface. So this is for you. If you're new here, my name is Hannah Smolinski. I am a CPA and I am a fractional CFO, and I started the Financial Tech Lab channel. I have the Claire CFO group channel, but I started this Tech Lab channel so that I could do video tutorials like this and help people understand accounting software better. So this channel is all about helping you understand the accounting technology that's out there, how best to use it and how best to utilize it so that it can help you succeed in your business. So if that sounds good, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel and also engage in the comments below, because I will be reading all of the comments. So I'd love to hear what you'd like me to test out next. So if you do not have QuickBooks Online yet and you would like to get it, I want to tell you about the discount we have for this channel. You can go to financialtechlab.com/QBO and get 30% off of QuickBooks Online for an entire year plus a 30-day trial. That is the best deal you will find on the internet, and I wanted to make sure you know about that if you haven't gotten QuickBooks yet. Okay, well, let's go ahead and hop into QuickBooks Online, and I'm going to show you how to do a full month of bookkeeping for a small business. All right, so like I said, this is the new user interface for QuickBooks Online as of August 2025. We're going to figure out where we need to go first. When I'm thinking about finishing the books and starting the bookkeeping for a month, the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that my bank transactions have been pulled in. So everything from my credit cards and from my banking, all my different bank accounts, like I want to make sure that all of that information is in my accounting system, so then I can go and properly classify those things into the right buckets or accounts. Where we need to go for that is we need to go to the bank transactions. Okay, so under accounting, if you click on the accounting app, then you go to bank transactions. This will get you to the bank feed or the bank transactions page. I'm going to minimize this menu on the side so it gives me more room to look at my bank transactions. And you'll see up here at the top, the different tiles represent the different accounts that we have. So we have multiple accounts that we need to reconcile here. This number in the gray box indicates how many transactions need to be coded that have been pulled in from the bank feed. And then this also tells us when the last time the account was refreshed. So this basically means 25 minutes ago, the system checked the Chase account to see if there's any new transactions. So it's pretty up to date. I'm also recording this in August, and what we're going to do is we're going to work on finishing the July books. So we're not really going to be worried about August transactions as much, but we will go ahead and look at July transactions and code all of those. And then if we happen to do some August transactions, we just get a head start for next month. So it's all good. I don't really have any care of which accounts to do first. Some people might like to start with the main checking account. So maybe we'll start there. Let's go ahead and see what we've got here. So we've got not a lot of transactions. I'm going to start, you can also flip this and start with your oldest first. You can toggle the date, either newest first or oldest first. I'm going to start with oldest first. We're going to go and look at this office rent, and that is going to landlord Larry. QuickBooks has recognized this. These little stars say they've recognized what they think the category is, and they're going to put this into rent. So I'm going to go ahead and just agree with that, because that is what it is. I'm going to make sure that the toggle is to categorize, not match. If it goes to match, it's going to be trying to find a transaction to match that expense to. That's not what we want. So we want to put that as categorize, and then it's posting. Here's an owner's draw. That's money going out, and then that goes to owner's distribution. That's correct. Here is a transfer to business savings account. That's money going out. This is paired because the business savings account is also in QuickBooks, so it recognizes there's money going out of one account and going into another account, so we're going to post that. It's paired it. I do think that this new version, I think they're trying to help avoid duplicating transactions that used to happen a lot with those transfers between accounts. So maybe they've made that a little bit better. That's my hope. And then we have this facilities account. This is cell phone. That is correct. I'm going to go ahead and post that there. And then we have another rent charge here because we had 2 months of transactions. I'm just going to go ahead and do these August transactions as well. Another distribution, and then I think these are the Chase credit card payments. So yep, that's correct. And they are both paired to the Chase credit card because that's also connected to the bank feed. So all of that looks correct. QuickBooks is doing a pretty good job recognizing things and putting things in the right place. And then we have some income coming in. That's AdSense revenue, so we're going to do that. Now the main checking account has been added, so that's good. Let's go over to the savings account and see what we have here. So we have some interest being earned here. Let's make sure that's going to the right account, which is interest income. So again, this little star says that QuickBooks has chosen an account for us, so we always need to make sure those are being reviewed. We don't want to just guess what those are. This bank account is for a relay. We're just coding that to where the money came from, posting those. And then we have here some additional things on the credit card. So let's go through here. Here's 99 designs. We can always add vendors, and I highly recommend, best practice is always to have a vendor or a customer name for any expense or any income, because that's going to help you have better reporting. So we're just going to save a vendor name there. This is one where QuickBooks did not get it quite right. I'd say this is more like marketing. It's a marketing expense. So we're gonna change that. So this is a sample company. We're just gonna make the best guess on some of this stuff because we're not exactly sure what it is, but let's go ahead and make this a professional development and then post. Looks like we've got some travel here for a resort, and it has automatically selected a hotel, but let's do hotel. Okay, so that's a water delivery, and we're calling that office kitchen. That's money going out. That's a software. A rule was actually set up for that, so that one's good. There's another item there. Ziply is internet. Hiscox is insurance. You can always add a new vendor, and then you can, that's a software expense. Kit is marketing software, so software is correct. ChatGPT. Parking. This might be one to track for 1099 payments if you think you've paid a vendor that might need a 1099. So if you think it's a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, ideally before you're paying any vendor, you get their W-9, and you can find out if you need to track their payments for 1099s, but you can easily do that in the vendor setup there. And then this could be for meals. And so all of those credit card transactions have now been encoded. We have the business savings, the checking, the other credit card. There's looks like no activity in some of these other smaller bank accounts. So we have all the bank accounts and all of the credit cards up to date. It says that there's some pending transactions here that haven't yet pulled in, but since we are actually doing the transactions for the prior month, we would consider that this is now ready to go and reconcile to the bank accounts and to the statements. So how we go to reconcile, there's a couple different ways we can get there. We can go to the bank register, and then whatever register you're on, this is the credit card register, you can go to reconcile up here. So the last time that this credit card was reconciled, it was through June 9th. So this is actually too early to get the August statement when this video is being recorded. So we're going to go ahead and reconcile through the statement ending date of 7/9/2025. And then the statement ending balance is 1847.22. So when you're looking at a statement, it's going to be really clear that it says what is the ending statement date, not the due date of the bill, because those are going to be two different dates. You want to see, it's going to say like the statement beginning date and the statement end date, and then the balance as of the end of the statement date. So those are the two things you need to be able to type into here. And then what QuickBooks does is it basically selects all of the information that has cleared, and it's going to say, hey, all of these things have happened, and then you can go through on your bank statement and check to make sure that those items are there. But typically what happens is, because you've been pulling in from the bank feed, that's what this little green symbol is, it's been manually added from the bank feed. So when it has been manually added from the bank feed, it's very likely that it's going to match the bank statement no problem, or the credit card statement. What we'll see more often where there's discrepancies between this reconciled page and what's in the register is when you start changing and doing things manually, or you start writing a lot of checks and things, then you have checks that are outstanding that haven't yet cleared. Then we're going to have some differences, but or if there's like any errors in your accounting system where you might have a duplicate transaction for whatever reason, then you can go in here and clean those up. But this, because it's all nice and clean and it's been pulled in from the bank feed, this is good to go. So we will finish this now. And then we will scroll through and do it with the other accounts. So we're going to put the statement ending date and the statement ending balance and start reconciling. Okay, so this is interesting. What we found with this one is that on the statement it actually says that American Express credited us for 10 cents. And so that was not pulled in from the bank feed for some reason. So what we'll do is we will, and maybe that's one of the pending transactions that needs to come in, but I can go ahead and add this here. We have to make sure that this is the right date as well, otherwise it won't show up in our reconciliation at the right point in time. So this happened on 6/23. And then when we add that in, then we have no issues. So this is why, too, you don't want to wait too long to do your bank reconciliations. You don't want to have 6 months at a time, because if you were to try to find a little tiny difference in 6 months of transactions, it could get really messy. And I mean, this business doesn't have a lot of transactions, so it's pretty easy to find. But if you do have a lot of transactions, things like this can be really kind of a nightmare to sniff out and figure out like what exactly is going on. Now, you can always go line by line and look at your bank statement and say, okay, I see this 1435, I see this 330, I see this 140. So, you know, really detailed bookkeepers are going to do that, especially when they have a lot of transactions, and especially if it's not automatically reconciling. So you would want to go line by line through that. So that is something that you absolutely can do, but QuickBooks will just default to trying to select everything in a date range, and then if everything is pulled in from the bank feed, it should match the bank statement. So old school way of doing a bank reconciliation is you literally go line by line and check things off, like this is here, this is here, this is here, this is here. So they're just doing that a lot faster by doing that kind of bulk check of like everything in a date range, include it, and then see if there's a difference, and then you can figure things out. Okay, so we're gonna finish that reconciliation. Let's go to the bank accounts next. Main checking, put in the ending balance, start reconciling. Make sure your ending balance is correct, because if for whatever reason you type it in wrong, you're gonna be looking for a difference, but it's really just an error and you made the error, so it will look off. So let me give you an example. Like if I accidentally typed that in wrong and I saved that, it would tell me I have a 98-cent difference, and I'd be sitting here looking for a 98-cent difference only to realize that I actually just typed in the number wrong, which would waste everybody's time. So, or at least waste my time, which we don't want to do. So if we type in the right numbers, then everything should be matched up. No issues there, nothing that we need to find as a difference. Also, you'll see that this beginning balance minus payments plus deposits, oftentimes these payments and deposits, they should match up to what is on your bank statement. Sometimes though, like different banks will present this information differently. Like they'll say like, you know, ACH income versus wire income, or you know, they'll have different types of deposits. So if that's the case, you know, you might need to do a little bit of math, but these can be helpful to use when you are trying to troubleshoot why the bank accounts do not match. You might be able to identify, well, our deposits match, so it must be on the payment side. And so it can be helpful, and just as you're kind of auditing and you're trying to figure out why things aren't reconciling, you can find it a little bit better that way. So let's go ahead and finish that. Let's finish reconciling the last bank account. Start reconciling. And this one was not a lot of activity, so that was pretty easy there. Finish now. Now the other accounts have already been reconciled. Those were done because they had no activity in them. So basically we're at a point that the bookkeeper's job is kind of done at this point for the month of July. But any good bookkeeper should do a review before they mark anything as final. So I'm going to go over to reports, and we're going to look at the profit and loss and see if anything's standing out, like maybe it's in the wrong category. If something got put to uncategorized, or if it's just sitting somewhere where it shouldn't be sitting, if it's sitting in a top level, you know, based on the preferences of the users of the financial statements, you might want to, you know, do a high-level review. So you're going to want to run this for last month, and then you can start to look through and just say like, like what's going on here? Nothing's really sticking out, that it's been miscategorized. Everything looks like it's in some good buckets here. I don't have anything in miscellaneous. You could be looking for lots of different things. The role of the bookkeeper is not one to like make comments on like why the net income is only $56 or anything like that. But you know, you might as a bookkeeper go, wait, that may not be normal. So is there anything that I'm missing? Like, do I need to, like, did I refresh the bank feeds? Are we sure that everything's there? Well, we already did the bank reconciliation, so yes, we did that. But like, is there anything else I need to consider that might be like, if this is not normal, we might want to just kind of think like, did I do everything I was supposed to do as the bookkeeper? But really, it's as simple as that. The P&L looks fine. We could run a balance sheet. If you go to reports, standard reports, also make sure that there's nothing that looks very strange on the balance sheet. And what is strange to you in your business is going to be different than what's strange to the sample company. So I can't really tell you exactly like what would be something that would, you know, hop out. But you know, what I'm looking for a bookkeeper review is to like make sure that things are not in miscellaneous, that are not in uncategorized, that a new account hasn't been accidentally created by the system, for example. Like sometimes QuickBooks will do that and then it doesn't make any sense. So it looks like everything is in the proper accounts. Nothing to worry about there. So really no concerns here. So going back to the dashboard here, if we look at the accounting app, let's expand that. And we could do a QuickBooks review here. It looks like we have, this is like a needs attention thing, transactions without payees. That's something that you could look at. Personal transactions, review loan payments, record cash transactions. You can add additional items here. You know, this is a good way to kind of look to see if there's anything else that needs to be done. So no bank transactions, so that is done. We could call that done if you use this. No uncategorized transactions, no undeposited funds, no unapplied payments. And then if you wanted to go in here and add transactions without payees, that's probably best practice. Like I've been saying, like it's good to have a vendor or a customer associated with each line. But this kind of gives you an idea of what the transaction or what the books review is. So you can see there's some unreconciled things in the credit cards because we only reconciled up to the last statement date because the next month's statement was not available. You can see this is only reconciled through July 11th, and that's through July 9th. That doesn't bother me as long as all of the bank fee transactions have been included. I would still be able to like close the books for the month without having to, do the August reconciliations, but that's kind of my personal preference. I would still review the books, maybe not close them without having the next statement date done. You can see like some other like balance sheet accounts have never been reconciled, and that is something to look at. But yeah, so you can definitely look through the books review, and this can kind of help you understand like anything else that you need to do to wrap up. But overall, what we need to do a full month of bookkeeping is, at the very bare minimum, is you need to be able to classify and categorize all the transactions in the bank feed, and then reconcile the books, and then do a overview of your profit and loss and balance sheet to make sure that nothing is weird and wonky. And then I like the idea of kind of doing a full balance sheet reconciliation at least once a year for taxes for sure. You don't necessarily need to do that every single month unless you have a lot of balance sheet activity. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. If you have any questions about your bookkeeping practices in QuickBooks Online, please be sure to put those questions in the comment section below. And if you need a copy of QuickBooks Online, be sure to use our link for 30% off of the entire year and a 30-day free trial. Go to financialtechlab.com/QBO. All right, we'll see you in the next video.